last video. We're still getting the environment set up. Let's get some music playing. And oof, turn that down in my ears. Okay. There we go. Now we should have some little bit of background music going on. And let's see. Our request is for a radiation electric scrapper. Let's get my windows lined up here. Nuclear. We'll go with. Well, we'll open up an existing scrapper. Scrapper date modified, and recently I did a Psi electric. Let's have a look at that. Now our Psi electric reaches soft cap to smashing lethal fire cold melee. Has recharge of 131.25. It reaches his recharge with agility radial. And we did take hasten. We took hasten at level 35. Let's log off and look at hasten. Hasten us is not quite perma. We're at 128.3 over 120 seconds. What's energize look like? Energize is at 34.4 over duration of 30 seconds. Without hasten, we're at 43.04 at 30 seconds. So we're not at perma hasten. Now, the reason why this is kind of critical is that I do know from practical experience that if you do not take power sync, you really need perma energize, or you really need to get close to perma energize. If you don't do this, you're going to run into endurance issues, especially if you add another toggle into the mix, which radiation melee will give us. So now we've got these both loaded up. Let's go ahead and get them equal to equal, turn off hasten. And let's do a flip to from psionic melee to radiation melee. And let's see what changed. Well, radiation siphon changed and proton sweep changed. However, we are not picking up irradiated ground, which is probably one of our most useful powers. So we're probably looking to drop proton sweep. Proton Sweep is taken at level 18, and that we had ATOs in. So this will be a pretty simple swap. We did have our recharge time critical proc in here, so we are going to want to move a recharge time critical. We also lost an avalanche. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop Proton Sweep. We're going to pick up irradiated ground. And in irradiated ground, we're going to go ahead and just put in our avalanche. Alright. Yeah, I noticed that the, if you're wondering why the ice tank went splat, do I have 3 of anything? Yeah, sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Well, I doesn't look like I actually have Return to Battle. Alright, so I'm waiting on inspirations. She has no slots in her. Alright, so back to the build. So we just lost a knockout, or a knockback to knockdown, 2 ATOs, and we have radiation siphon. This has actually been ludicrously simple to do. We have first, second, fourth, ATOs, first, second, fourth, and then we have proc and damage endurance recharge time. So proc, damage endurance recharge time. Now this does give us a free slot, because we don't have to mitigate any knockback. So any place we can go to pick up some additional recharge, because all of our defense values are going to have remained the same. Okay, grounded is just resist. Got 1, 2, 3. I'm not seeing a good place to pick up some recharge, but we can pick up some endurance modification. There we go. And if we do this if we do the proc scaling, we still get our increased run speed up and down the line. So now you move a little faster. All right. Okay. What? Okay, David's. I'm looking to see. All right. They also went with radiation electric instead of radiation weapon, or radiation electric weapon. Did they keep the combat jumping? I see combat jumping and okay, they went combat jumping and super jump. So they didn't change to super speed. Okay. So this is what we'll lock this off for the weapon. Save as Rad Elect R1 weapon. Now we'll come over to this window. Scrapper. We'll open up Rad Elect weapon. Now they went with Moo Mastery. And we can pretty much keep the same slotting here. All right, why Moo bolts over Zap? Well, having done electric tertiary enough before, the critical damage on Zap is not enough to overcome the. Okay, we're going to. Oh, sorry. We're going to deslot Ball Lightning for a second, and we're going to give Ball Lightning a fully boosted artillery. And the reason why we're going with a fully boosted artillery rather than a purple set, that fully boosted artillery gives us maximum accuracy, maximum damage, and capped recharge time. Now, Moo Bolts, I'm sorry, I don't want to do Ball Lightning, I want to do Zap. Okay. want something to give me maximum. Okay. We're actually going to do power transfer. We're going to do power transfer rather than, and we're going to do set on quick form. So this is the amount of damage that you would actually be doing in battle. Now we're not hard capped on damage, we're not hard capped on endurance. Okay, actually I want to go even with move bolt. So accuracy damage, recharge time. Uh, Actually, well, this gives us... Alright, we'll do Manticores then. See what this gets us. Uh-huh. I just had a crash on the Homecoming client. But the other client, the Tequila client, did not crash. Interesting. Alright, here we are. And this only gets us capped to damage. We're still not at accuracy damage or recharge time. Alright, so let's do the purple. And this should just give us some idea on the differences between maximizing each of the different sets. Alright, with Maximized Apocalypse, we're still below on accuracy compared to Winter's Blast. Damage, we're a little bit better, and recharge time is about the same. So now we're kind of power equivalent. We are in quick form. So we're going to do window, and we're going to do power graphs. We're going to go up to damage, and we're going to do damage per animation. And we're going to do all sets. And now we have Zap and Moo Bolts. Now in quick form, Zap does 423.9 damage per second. Moo Bolts does 198 damage per second. We take quick form off. Zap still, in terms of animation, is at 220.7, and Moo Bolts is 198 per second. So, in terms of damage per animation, Zap is generally better than Moo Bolts. If we do damage per second, which is how much damage you can take with the current recharge of your build, Zapping without quick form only gives us around 76.19, whereas Moo Bolts gives us 71.66. It actually gives us more DPS. If we turn on quick form, Zap's damage per second actually drops. It only gives us 59.08 per second, and Moo Bolts gives us 71.66 per second. So here it is a big difference. Damage per animation, Zap looks really good. Damage per second, Zap is less than Moo Bolts. You get less DPS overall. And if we do damage per endurance, in quick form, Moo Bolts is giving us 78.62 damage per unit of end. Zap is giving us 66.7 damage per end. Outside of quick form, Zap gives us 113.05 damage per endurance, so it's stronger than Moo Bolts. So if you were hidden and you were striking and you're striking for critical damage, well, not in the case of a scrapper, if you were striking for the full critical strike bonus, you do more damage per endurance outside of a fight, but you do less damage per endurance inside of a fight. And that's kind of the critical difference why I almost always choose Moo Bolts over Zap now, is that even when you slot them so that their performance characteristics are almost identical, Moo Bolts generally gives you better damage per endurance in a fight, and when you're scrapping for endurance, that's you need all you can get. And Moo Bolts also gives you better damage per second. It's available more often and you put down more damage total over the course of a fight versus waiting on Zap to give you back its maximum damage. So that's why, for scrappers at least, skip Zap. It's not bringing anything. It's not bringing anything useful to the party. And that's if you are deliberately slotting Zap to be equivalent to another single target ranged attack. Alright, Electric Shackles. This is our hold to make us useful during to make us helpful during, our recharge time, a duration of 8 seconds, recharge 16.7. So we really want a recharge time or increase the duration by a lot. We can do we have an accuracy hold endurance, or do we have a recharge endurance? Yeah, we have a recharge endurance in superior and tome. We have a recharge hold. We have a hold recharge and unbreakable constraint we can boost. And now we're running 11.31, duration 13.58 recharge. If we flick on Hasten, Electric Shackles is now giving us 10.47 with 11.31 duration. So against an enemy that resists holds, probably not going to give you a whole lot, but this will at least allow you to be helpful, or at least helpful to other players that have holds that can be stacked, for scenarios where a hold would be desirable. Thinking about we don't have any other slots we could put in there, because we could maybe pick up some recovery, drop the endurance here, go back, slots and enhancement slots, auto arrange all slots, and go back to unbreakable constraint and do endurance hold. This now gives us a 14.52. Well, our end cost isn't that bad. So maybe if we did accuracy recharge to up our recharge time, I think endurance hold gives us a greater turnaround. So hold recharge, endurance hold. And that gives us a endurance recovery. Slightly better endurance. But all toggles up, we are still 2.98 versus 1.53. Once you get accolades in place, toggle all of our, we're up to 3.28. And this is with all toggles up. And with the endurance discount in play. Alright, so there's a quick look at an electric version. And we'll go toss these at the original poster.